I can't believe I stuck up for him. I feel like I've been stabbed in the heart. Oh, sorry if I yelled, T. It's just, how much more betrayal can I take?
It's true. It is true. That is how I feel. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I've been looking for ways to use more Sopranos clips or GIFs or whatever in my content. Wasn't really hoping to use that one because that one's more tragic. But, you know, hey, whatever the time calls for, that's what you got to do. It has been a while since we've uploaded. So much has happened. That is for sure. This is going to be a very brief video just to get everybody up to speed on a few things that have been on my mind. But what happened was I was actually going to upload a couple more videos. In fact, I had one planned about a topic sort of related to all this. We're going to address there was that one tweet that said that, you know, I'll always have more in common with my unbelieving people of the same race than I will with believers of different races, or something like that. I'll get the exact quotation, but I was going to respond to that. But then I got put in YouTube jail. That's right. I got your boy AD. Can you believe it? They got me. They got me. They put me in YouTube jail because of misinformation. Now, I'm not exactly sure what I said that was so misinformation, but that was the video that they took the video down. It was the video where I said that single female voters were the worst voters in human history. That's just a fact, but I got taken down for it. I don't know. I might have said something about elections and things like that. I don't know. But I missed you guys. It's good to be back. I really did miss you. Don't take that too seriously. So we gotta address the whole happenings over Thanksgiving. You know, over Thanksgiving there was quite a controversy. I'm not gonna rehash the whole controversy, but you know, if you want to get the details on some of that, John Harris has done a pretty thorough job on the controversy. I think that Canon Press has released some things about it, and I was kind of, I wasn't really in the middle of it, but I did make a few comments. In fact, one of the things that a lot of people picked up on was a tweet that I sent to Neil Shenvi. I think it was either late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning on Thanksgiving, and I can't remember which, but I basically, it was just basically a tweet that just said, "What's wrong with you, Neil?" And it was about this controversy, and it's about the allegedly anonymous, but not really that anonymous Twitter account of Stephen Wolf's co-host, which was saying some pretty outlandish and messed up stuff regarding race and some weird stuff too, like very weird stuff about the show Cuties. Just very bizarre, disgusting kinds of tweets. And then mixed in with some tweets that were really pretty innocuous that people were still pretty upset about, but that's not the point. That's not even the point. So there was some controversy as far as that goes, and there was some confusion as to whether or not it really was his account or it wasn't. And I got all over Neil Shenvi because, you know, the guy lost his job over this, and in my opinion, that it was over, you know, stuff that was really not airtight. Like the case that they were making that this was this guy's account was very circumstantial, and at the time, he denied it, and you know, we'll talk about that in a minute. But it was a very circumstantial case. The guy ends up getting fired over it, and the thing is that a very good circumstantial case could have been made the opposite way, that it wasn't his account. And there were lots of things that John Harris has pointed out and that I knew about privately as well after the fact that just didn't make sense. The entire story is bizarre. There's no real way to explain it or describe it rather, other than just freaking bizarre. And there's still to this day, now that he's come out and taken responsibility for this account and sort of for the tweets as well, there's still things about this story, some of which are public, some of which are private, that don't make any sense. And this is what happens, though. Like, honestly, like when you start lying, this is something my brother has often talked about, you know, with me just privately and about different situations. And it's like, lying is very complicated because when you lie, you're now interjecting an element of distrust, right? And now where someone used to trust you, now they kind of have to question what they trust you on, right? And so there are even to this day, there are still things about this whole story that make absolutely no sense. But of course, I'm going to accept. I mean, I'm going to accept that he took responsibility for these tweets and this account. But there's a lot of open questions still, and that again, that's not the point either, right? What I wanted to do this video on is really two things. One is regarding Neil Shenvi, and the other is regarding John Harris. Now, John Harris and Neil Shenvi, they're kind of at odds. There's no question about it. I'm going to start with John. You know, John Harris, you know, really stuck his neck out to defend his friend. I guess he's friends with this guy Thomas Accord or Achord or whatever. I've been in like group chats with Thomas. I don't know if I've ever interacted with him. Now I have after the fact, but I guess John really had. He had talked to him quite a bit, and John defended him, and he made the circumstantial case that it wasn't him. Of course, he didn't know for sure that it wasn't him, but he didn't believe it, and neither did I, you know. And, you know, John now he's been, I guess, proven wrong, or at least he has to sort of walk back some of the stuff he had initially said. Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. But the point is, like, a lot of people are probably disappointed in John. And I've even seen it in the YouTube comments, you know, some people saying that, you know, whatever. And I got to say, you know, I was very impressed with John. And I'm not, whatever, no homo, but like, you know, he defended his friend, and he did it forcefully, and he did it, I think, in my opinion, gracefully. And honestly, given the information that he had at the time, I think he did the right thing. You know, I've been lied about before, you know, publicly and privately, and I know what it's like. And I've had people say things about me that were patently false, and I know what that's like. And you know, it can be isolating. You know what I mean? It can be very isolating. And you know, even sometimes your friends or your colleagues or your allies, they kind of want to hold you at arm's length and stuff like that. And John didn't do that. John definitely didn't do that. I've had fake accounts made after me that some people thought were actually me. And I remember even one recently was AD Robles Maniac on Twitter. And, you know, he wasn't like really trying to imitate me, but he made it close enough. Like the name was close enough, and he used my pictures and stuff like that, that some people that know me and follow me thought it really was me. And he would say things that were a little bit off of what I would say, but sort of close. And so I know that that's a possibility. Someone could interact with a account that's actually not you, and they can get away with it. So I there's a lot of reasons why I was like, you know, this could be completely false, right? And then once John kind of did his digging, you know, he made a pretty good case that circumstantially, like both cases were circumstantial. Obviously, you don't know for sure, but he made a really good case. In fact, I was going to do a video when I got back about the same thing, again, defending Thomas to a certain degree. Because again, I didn't know him. I don't know him for sure. I didn't know he for sure didn't do it, but there's a good case to be made. And the point of my video was going to be, look, I believe him, but what difference does that make? And if you remember the whole video I did about the Jennifer Lyell situation with Sills, I made a very similar video where I said, and I got some heat for this. I said, I believe Jennifer. But what difference does that make? It's not about who wins in the court of public opinion. It's about what you can prove, right? What actually is solid. And that was my whole point. It's like these guys are going to war and destroying a man who they allege is a racist based on pretty flimsy evidence, and it's all circumstantial. And they're like, well, we're just going to put this out there, and then, you know, obviously the mob gets going, and then all of a sudden you got to make moves quickly, and the pressure builds. It's a lynch mob is what it was. That's what I was thinking. And it's like, look, like, you can't do that, though. It doesn't matter what you or I think, right? I believed Jennifer Lyell, but what difference does that make? It's about what she can prove, right? I believed Thomas, but what difference does that make? It's about what we can prove, right? And of course, I was thinking, Well, he'll be able to prove this, right? I mean, IP addresses, computers, things like that. Everything leaves a trace and all of that. But in any case, but I was impressed with John. I really want to say that, and I'm honored to consider John a friend, and I trust John. I really do, and I think that it was awesome to see him defend his friend. It sucks what's happened now. There's just no question about it. It sucks, and I think that all of us, that were defending Thomas, and now that it's come out that actually this was his account and he was saying all this racist stuff and weird stuff as well, very weird stuff. We need to ask ourselves how were we tricked, right? How did this happen, right? I think that's a worthwhile question. I think for myself, I know some of the reasons why I was tricked, but I think we all kind of have to individually ask ourselves that. So anyway, John, love you, brother, and I know you're taking some heat right now, and I know you're okay with that. But I want to let you know that given the information that I had and that we had at the time, I think you did the right thing, man. I'd rather believe the best about a friend of mine and be proven wrong than to just abandon him or hold him by at arm's length. That's happened to me before, and it's not fun. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And I think this is the other thing, too. I think a lot of our enemies are going to use this and say, see, we were right all along. Now, next time, believe us. And it's like, hold on a second. Hold on a second. That's not how this works, number one. That you don't just have to believe everything that we're not doing believe all women now, believe all CRT now. That's not, we're not gonna do that, number one. But number two, let's just rewind the tapes, because every other time where, recently big public events happen where you're telling us it's racist, it's this, it's that, and we're like, well, hold on a second, we don't know if it's racist. How many times have we been right? Like, don't be robbed of your ability to, like, hold on a second, say, well, hold on, is this really true? This doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Just because it's right sometimes doesn't mean that it's right all the time. And the other thing is, too, like, a lot of people have noticed this, so I'm not, by myself here at all. But honestly, like, racism is not the unforgivable sin. I've said this so many times in this channel, but I think it's worth repeating. Like, if this guy is taking responsibility for these beliefs and these things, and he's saying, hey, look, these were wrong. I shouldn't have said this. I didn't even recognize myself in that. I mean, there's some weirdness to his. Yeah. Anyway, listen, like I messaged him afterwards, like offering him my support, like, look, like if you're really taking responsibility for these things, you're sorry, you're repenting, you need help, you need something, let me know. Because the thing is, like I would do that with anybody. I mean, even a lot of my enemies, I've offered that kind of thing, before. And I'm sure that if I don't want to call anybody out, because I don't want to draw attention to people that are my enemies. But a lot of my enemies, if they're being honest, would have to admit that I've reached out to them and offered help at key moments and stuff like that. In any case, it's not really about me. That's not the point. So John Harris, I love you, brother. I think you did the right thing. You're going to have to go through it a little bit here. But, hey, you did what you had to do as a friend, and so good on you. Neil Shenvy, I want to mention this, too. I had said, what's wrong with you, Neil, on Twitter? Well, it turns out not as much as I thought. Not as much as I thought was wrong with you, that's for sure. Neil reached out to me after that, and it was on Thanksgiving or like I said, the day before, or like maybe Thanksgiving morning, and he wanted to call me right away. And I was with my family, and so I couldn't take the call, but I called him the next day on Friday. We chatted for a few minutes, and Neil was very gracious, and he was cautioning me to kind of just slow down. And I told him, well, in this case, I kind of have to, because like I'm in YouTube jail and I'm away. I can't really do a video in it anyway. But I was like, yeah, I appreciate the advice. And we chatted for just a little bit. And it turns out he was right. Like if I was at home, I would have done a video on this already. Very similar to John's video. It would have been a little different, but it would have been similar. And that would have been, in retrospect, probably not the right thing for me to do, because I didn't even really know Thomas, right? Like I knew of him, a little bit in some of these group chats. But if anyone knows me in group chats, I don't really participate much. I just kind of lurk. But in any case, John really did know him, and so it made more sense for him to do a video like that. But I remember one time, and Neil, this is not me burying the hatchet with you completely. I told you this. I've taken some heat for defending you with some people. I haven't cast you out into outer darkness, but we definitely don't see eye to eye on a good number of things. But I've always said you're a good guy. Even just the day of this whole controversy, I had tweeted out, because the first thing I saw in this controversy was from Neil. That's why I messaged Neil, "What's wrong with you?" And it was him saying that he wasn't making a guilt by association argument, but it was kind of a guilt by association argument. And even in that tweet, I signal boosted it, and I said, I can't stop loving Neil, but I'm always laughing at the way he signals, because he always signals to certain groups and counter signals others. That's how Neil is. That's one of my problems with Neil. But I can't stop loving him. I really I don't know. What can I say? I like Neil. In any case, I remember distinctly, I don't remember what video this was, Neil, but in a video I said to you about you, I said, I'm pretty sure that Neil wouldn't, pour liquid on me if I was burning. Take that for what you will. But I would defend him. If the lynch mob came to Neil for Neil, I would defend Neil, because I think he's a good guy, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't return the favor. And that wasn't right for me to say. I shouldn't have said that. And quite honestly, Neil, I think you were trying to help me. I still don't trust Neil 100%, but I appreciate that, Neil. So thanks for first of all, thanks for calling me the day after Thanksgiving. You didn't have to do that. You wanted to call me on Thanksgiving. I appreciate that. And it was the first time we'd ever spoken, actually. I'd never spoken to Neil before. And him in his very Neil Shenvy, fast-talking way said, "Hey, sorry we have to talk like this for the first time. This is the bad circumstances." I was like, "Hey, don't worry about it, Neil, but I'm glad to talk to you." And I was glad to talk to you. So, hope you think I'm a reasonable guy now, Neil. I don't know. Maybe you don't. We'll see. But I appreciate that, man. I was wrong to say that you wouldn't pour liquid on me if I was burning. I think you would. You seem like a solid guy. I may have more to say on this, because I think that the way that Thomas was treated when the case against him was pretty weak, I think it was deplorable. I mean, absolutely deplorable. There's room for another Sopranos clip right here.
Well, that's deplorable.
Actually, it was absolutely disgusting. But I think I need to give it time before I talk about that. I really do. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I'm not sure what else I could say. I think I will have more to say about this. I will, because I've been thinking a lot about it the last few days, and I have some thoughts. But in any case, I will get back to my normal content soon. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll do that video that I was planning on doing before I got YouTube jailed. But yeah, guys, God bless you. I love you guys. And hope you found this video helpful. God bless.